Hello, I'm Johnny Knoxville, and this is. Yes, my name is Valerie. Most of you know me as Lady. Yeah! The famous ad lib. Yeah! Trademark, don't take my stuff now.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from a small city in Mississippi called the proper way, Laurel. Laurel, Mississippi. I resided there about 19 years. Been there all my life, basically. But I like turtles, and
I like turtles.
My favorite number, most people know that, is 11. Well, I like that number a lot, but yeah. And I like turtles a lot. I really like a whole lot. I like turtles.
I like turtles.
Like you said, the proper way to say it is Laurel. How do natives say it?
Law.
Law.
Law. There's no L. Law.
Law. Oh, there's no L.
Yeah, there's
Because
law.
I say law, L-O-L. Law.
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 Just law.
So are you an only child? You got brothers and sisters, or just Lady B?
I am the only child that my parents have together. But I have 3 brothers on my dad's side, and I have a brother and sister on my mother's side.
Okay. And in the midst of all of them, where are you?
I am the baby.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So were you spoiled being the baby?
Yes. My sisters and brothers, my 3 brothers, my dad said didn't live with us, so my sister and my brother, they always called me the golden child. That I couldn't do nothing wrong in their eyesight, but in actuality, I saw what they was getting, and I just did the opposite.
Yes.
Facts. I saw what they did to get whoopings. I was like, nope, not doing that.
So they actually fueled you into being a golden child.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You let them jump off the edge and you just stood.
I just stood on the back. Nope. Y'all go ahead. Y'all go right ahead. Yep.
So this is the Overcomer series. So in order for you to be here, you would have had to overcome something. What is it that you're sharing with us today that you, by the kind of you who have been able to overcome?
In 2009, June. Sad because I get it wrong. I get the date still wrong to this day. I can't remember if it's the June 20th or 21st. The only way I remember it is if I go back to a calendar and look from 2009. I look at that Sunday, which was a Father's Day, and that's how I remember. I still don't remember which one it was, but 2009, June 21st. My dad shot my mom with a 12-gauge shotgun, and I was in the house when it happened over a argument that stemmed from the night before.
So was this something that kind of had been ongoing and came to a head, or was it something sudden?
I would say semi-ongoing. Like I said, it happened. They were arguing the night before, but any argument they had, it would always be, somewhat of a blowout. And I would contact either my sister or my brother to come and kind of calm the situation down, because I'm very timid, to calm the situation down, and it'll be good. But this time I did not. I figured it'd be like any other time, but it was not. It definitely was not.
So do you remember kind of what happened that day, as far as from your perspective?
Yes, and what's crazy is, like, I'm looking down because I can see it in my head. Like, I can see where everything is placed. Sometimes I still can smell, like, the same scents that I smelt the day it happened. So it was they were arguing the night before about my dad had to go to some church picnic, and my mom wanted to do something else, but he was insisting on going, and he went. And so they argued or whatnot. Actually, my sister came up because she actually had a home on our land. We had 3 acres of land, so she stayed like literally like down the street walking distance. She actually came up, and my mom was just very, very upset. She would have her moments where if she was upset like that, it'd take a moment for her to come down. So, I just took it at that. And actually my sister and my mom had a huge argument that night too. And she had a son. And my nephew usually stays at the house with us because she works. My mom and my aunt, she lives at the house with us as well. She would watch him. And so they had a big argument. She stormed out the house. Fine. Their argument continued, he ended up not sleeping in the master bed. He actually slept in my nephew's room. His room was right across the hall from me. And fast forward to the next day, waking up, I remember my mom knocking on my door and saying, "Babe, I get up, get some breakfast." She had already cooked breakfast. It was Sunday morning. And arguments just kept going. My dad was in the front room, trying to iron his clothes so he can get ready to go to church. And it just kept going. The arguments just kept going. But she was so furious. Like, the level she was on, I never seen her at that level. Never seen her at that level ever. She can get rowdy, she can get rough, but that one she was just like on 10, probably 11. But and they continue to argue. I think from there.
So in this time, you said your daddy ironing.
Yes.
She's upset.
Yep.
She made breakfast. She did what she needed to do, but she was still upset and they're arguing. So in the midst of all of this arguing, you say you usually go get one of your siblings, but you didn't this time. So
Yeah, none of my siblings stayed at the house. I'm the only one there. They all had their own places. So I usually call them or send them a text like, "Hey, they arguing again. Can somebody come up here like ASAP?" Trying to come to them. But I didn't. I actually was on the phone with my spouse. And, well, not then. We were dating. He actually lived in Japan. He was in the Marine Corps. So we had a bit of a time difference. He was getting ready to go to bed. And, the arguing just continued or whatnot. Slamming doors. I remember at one point, I can't remember what he did, but it prompted her to get a knife. And, she would tell me, get back. She's like, "I'm going to cut you this and that," stuff like that. And so she slammed the door. Yeah, she slammed the door. He kept telling her, like, let me come in and get my shoes. And I think she was like, if anything, I bought all this stuff, right? She slammed the door again. She started getting ready for church. And I had told my spouse, well, my boyfriend at the time, I had told him, I said, "I think this is it. Like, I think they're going to get a divorce." And he told me, he was like, "Well, you said that, they argue, but it always just kind of calmed down and whatnot. So don't even worry about it." He was like, "You just call me when you get out of church. I'm going to try to get a couple hours in." Because he was like our time difference was major. He's like, "I'm trying to get a couple hours in, and you call me when you get out of church." I said, "Okay." So I was literally opening a drawer to take out me some stockings to put on, and I heard boom, and I paused, and I was like, I don't think that's what I heard, but I knew that's what I heard. And so the way the house is set up, it's the living room, my room. Like, if you're walking down the hallway, it's the living room. My room is on the right. My nephew's room is on the left. Right next to my room is the bathroom. Right next to the bathroom is a utility closet that has the AC unit, the hot water tank, and all that. On the left in the back of the house was my aunt's room, and directly across from her room was the master bed. Um, I stuck my head out of the door, and I saw my dad coming down the hallway with a shotgun in his hand, and he just had this look on his face that I never forget. And my aunt, who was sitting in the living room in the chair, because the chair faces, you can look, like if you're sitting, like if I'm sitting here, I can look directly down the hallway and see all the doors. So she was sitting in her chair, and she got up and she said, "No, you didn't." And she grabbed a gun, my aunt did, and they started tussling. I took off running out the house, and I ran down the street. So my sister told she had her home was on our property. I ran down the street, no shoes. I was running so darn fast. Boy, I was running so fast. And I was knocking on the door. She finally opened, and I told her, I said, "Daddy shot Mama." And I'm big on pranks, so she thought I was like joking or whatnot. But then she saw my face, and she was like, "No." She was like, "No." She's like, "No, no, no." All she said was no, 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 no. And so she called 911 and told them what had happened and to send the ambulance. And so when I turned around, you can, like, from where we stay, we can see each other basically. And so when I turned around and looked back up the hill, because we kind of stayed on the hill, she was at the bottom. I looked back up the hill. I saw my aunt head like sticking up, because it was kind of it was a lot of grass and whatnot in between us. It needed to be bush hog, but I saw her head sticking up, but I could tell she was sitting on the ground. And I remember we drove back up. We got in my sister's car and we drove back up, and my aunt was sitting in the yard, and I saw the shotgun sitting right next to her. She was crying, and so my sister went in first. I didn't go in, and then eventually I went in, and the way their room is set up, they had a huge, wooden bed frame that was made. It was handmade, as well as the dressers. It was all of it handmade by this guy she knew. But in between there was a walkway, and then you would cut this way to go to the master bath. And she was laying right there in between that space, in her bra and panties, because she was getting ready. And I could see all of that it was open. And so I didn't go back after that. I didn't go back. Word traveled fast somehow, because I know my sister was calling people and whatnot, but all my aunts and uncles were there, and like, it probably was longer than that, but it felt like 5 minutes, maybe because I was in a daze. Now my mom, she's number 16 of the children. So it's altogether it's 10 girls and 6 boys. But living at that time, it was you got Aunt Alma who was dead, Uncle Homer. So everybody else was alive, 14. Everybody else was still alive. Everybody was there except for my Uncle William, which lived in Chicago at the time, and that was it. He was the only one there. So all of my aunts and all my uncles were there. And by that time, the sheriff them ended up pulling up. I don't know when, but I'm just hysterical, crying and whatnot. And my brother and my sister, my brother ended up pulling up. And so I remember asking my sister, like, do we need to move her? Like, can we just put her in the back of the Tahoe and just go to the hospital? And she was like, no, we can't move her, Val, because we don't know. So we waited for the ambulance, and they eventually came. But when they got there, she was already dead. So,
So in the midst of all of this, everybody showing up, your auntie in the yard,
mhm.
where was your dad at?
He was not there. I found out later. You know, he drove off. He drove up in my car. I had a Honda Accord. He left the scene and flagged the police down the road later on and told them what he had did because he already knew they were looking for him. So from there, I just remember them. When it was confirmed that she was dead, I remember how I just bounced to different people. And then I found out, you know, and I cried even more. My cousin, Veronica, was holding me at the time. And so after that, I seen them roll out with the white sheet. And I remember just being like, I feel like I'm on Law and Order. Like, like I watched Law and Order SVU all the time. One of my favorite shows at that time. But I was like, I feel like I'm on Law and Order. So we see different people come in, they're taking pictures, samples. Like it was like I was in the episode for real. And so I remember the police, well, not the police, the sheriff. He sent the police, but the sheriff coming. Actually, the sheriff, Alex Hodge at the time, they were like very good friends. They were close. My mom and the sheriff, real close. As a matter of fact, my brother used to work for him for the longest. But they told me that I had to come down to give a statement. So the only people who came down was me and my aunt who lived with us. And so I remember. I don't remember the ride there, but I just remember being in the room and they were asking me all these different questions. Some of it I remembered, some of it I didn't. Some of it I didn't want to say nothing. I just wanted to go home. Just thinking like, how did this happen to me? Like, man, what? Like this is crazy. And so, you know, after that we had to plan the funeral arrangements and all that stuff, and just.
So how did you start to, like you said, that's not, it's common, but it's not common. Like people die in domestic situations pretty often, but when it happens to you, it feels like you said, like this is a SVU episode. This don't happen in real life. It's something I watch on television.
Right.
So how did you begin to kind of gather yourself and heal and be able to overcome that particular situation? Is it something that was with you? I'm sure it's still with you, obviously, but how were you able to get yourself to a point to continue to push?
At the time, I ain't be real, my spouse was a huge help. He was there. Like I said earlier, I was the only one that they had together. I was the only child they had together. So after that, everybody took sides. I was the only one left in the middle. Now, the only one who didn't treat me different was my aunt, who was there. But people on my mom's side started treating me different. You know, my dad's side didn't treat me different. You know, they just more so kind of caring. But I didn't want to be connected to either one. Because eventually I knew that we had to go to trial. You know, and my dad would call the house to talk to me. You know, collect calls and stuff like that. And I just didn't. I didn't want to. I wanted to please both sides, in a sense. So I I try to stay as neutral as possible when it came to it. And you said, how did I overcome it? I really didn't overcome it until this year. So it's been what, 2009? My mind buried a lot of stuff that I couldn't remember before. And having a conversation with my brothers on my daddy's side, I had totally forgot about details and things like that before. I totally forgot about it. So, my own self buried everything, but not everything, some things about that day. I think it's just a coping mechanism, like for me just to be able to move forward as much as I can. Because right when that happened, that day, my wedding was July the 11th.
Oh, that's in a month.
Yes. And my mom had already got like all the food, catering. I had my dress. I mean, everything was already ready. You know, he was gonna be flying home for the ceremony and everything, but everything was already set. And one thing I had to come to grips with was none of my parents are gonna be at my wedding.
How was that?
Hard, but my brother and sister stood in, and I had all my aunts from my mom's side there, and of course I had my dad's side there too right after that. So it was a lot of friction. But
you said there was a lot of friction, so I'm sure you could feel certain tension.
Oh yes.
Or were there any did anybody constrain how they felt for the sake of the event?
They did. For the most part, they did. I didn't see it. I could feel it, but I didn't see it. Like, I didn't see them bickering, back and forth with each other, anything like that, I could tell, though, that there was a sense of uncomfortableness in the vicinity. Yeah.
So how were you able to push yourself through in that moment, knowing that you didn't have key individuals that are usually real instrumental in the time when you're getting married? Your daddy usually walk you down the aisle.
And I'm a daddy girl.
See you on. So how were you able to? Was it the strength of kind of the support of your spouse and the ones that did stand by your side that kept you together during that time?
It was more so. It actually was my spouse and my coach, my basketball coach from the college I played in, Midway College in Kentucky. He actually drove down to and some of my college teammates, but I talked to him often during that time. He was a huge help, and there was a comfort in me getting married to my spouse because I really loved him, and he was there. He was there for me.
So you said that you really hadn't overcome this situation until this year.
Mm-hmm.
So in a 14-year span of dealing with and not dealing with it, were you able to learn anything about yourself? Or did you learn anything about yourself that maybe you didn't see before actually facing it?
I'm good at burying stuff and not facing it. If I don't want to deal with it, like I shy away from stuff all the time. Though my voice cracking, I shy away from stuff often, and I felt like at the time, I felt like if my mom would have just let it go, that she would still be alive. I took that into my marriage once I got married. So anytime there was an argument, I would be the first to stop. And just not even married, like I'll be the first to stop because my mind will always take it to that degree. I don't want it to be at that degree, so I'll be the first to stop to just cut that situation off so it doesn't get that far. I've learned that I think I forgive people, and I don't.
You
Um,
think you can?
oh, no, I can. But when I say, hey, yeah, I'm good, no, not really, because I ain't dealt with it. Like this whole time, I've never dealt with it. From getting married on up until,
So you think you were just pacifying yourself?
yeah.
So at what moment did you stop?
Um, Once I had the conversation with my brothers on my dad's side, that's when I realized that I've never dealt with the situation. I've only told myself, I'm pretty happy, go lucky, Val. People see me bouncing around, full of energy, but that side, I didn't deal with it. I just ran away from it. And typically, when I tell people this story, they be looking like every time. I'm like, it ain't that bad. It is what it is. But it was this year. It was this year, and it's just it's levels to this thing. It is levels that I didn't find out until this year, because previously, I'm gonna segue. Previously, well, I testified on my dad's behalf during the trial, and my mom's side of the family was not excited about that. Um, I got called everything but the child of God at the time. Um, and everybody turned on me, even my sister and my brother. They did. But the one person who did not was my aunt. She stayed very neutral. She didn't. She actually defended me against her other sisters when they talked. She did. She held it down. And I remember in court when it was time to testify. I came in. I got them on this side. Like the courtroom, of course, was divided. Dad's side, mom's side, on that side. And I remember testifying, and just the eyes. I was 19 then, so just the eyes and the looks, the conversations, because I couldn't be in the room or in the courtroom. So me and my aunt had to stay in separate rooms, away from everybody else. And I can remember she went first. And when she came back in, she was just crying, bawling. And this is one aunt that I care a lot about. And I wanted to hug her, but my sister shielded me, so I couldn't. And she was just rubbing her back, and I never forget. She's like, "I just don't understand how you can testify for a murderer." And at the time, well, I didn't see it as murder. It was self-defense because she did have a knife. Not saying that he was justified in shooting her in that aspect, but he said self-defense, and I had no reason to not believe him. He's my daddy. He never showed me anything other than him just being my daddy. So after talking to my brothers, oh, wait a minute. No, we went. We went to trial, did a trial and everything. Like this was on the newspapers. Like it was huge. And I don't know if I still got the newspaper. Actually, they quoted me in there saying that I feel like I'm in a Law and Order episode in the newspaper. But they ended up having a trial, finished it. It took them 10 minutes to deliberate, which was the quickest, I think, ever. They came back and they gave him life in prison, found him guilty. And I cried because not only have I lost my mom, now I've lost my dad. So my sister and my brother, at the time they still had their dad. They just lost their mom, but I lost two. I actually lost two the same day. Then I really lost the other one, went to the prison system. So he ended up going to jail. I moved to California. Staying out there with my spouse, lived at Oceanside. Very beautiful place. Go visit. It's real nice out there. Well, not now. There's so much going on, like fires and stuff. There's too much going on. But he ended up going to trial again. They did an appeal. So I had to go back through this again. And going back through it, this time, by that time, my sister, she was really, really sick. She had cancer, colon cancer. Found she had colon cancer. And that was actually the second time of her having it. So she was really, really sick. Like, she had it the first time, went through chemo, beat it, woohoo, done. She ended up getting sick again, and it just got worse or whatnot. But they changed it from life, from a rule called heat of passion, saying that basically with the heat of passion that of course he hasn't done anything like this before, but in that moment there was a split decision made, but he has no other records or any other charge, anything like that that would justify it, would justify his sentence to be life. So they changed it to manslaughter. So he ended up getting like 15 years. So 2000 and was it 19? No, 20. 2020. He actually got out early. He was actually in prison for 11 years. He got out early, but he was excited. I was excited. We wrote each other letters and stuff like that while he was in jail at the time. I expressed to him how I felt about the situation at times, and oh baby, just hold on, God got us, stuff like that. And so I actually went down to visit him once I found out, he was getting out, because my son hadn't seen him since he was like arm baby. This is the last time he seen him, and I sent him pictures and whatnot, but he hadn't seen him. So I wanted him to meet his grandpa, or what he calls himself, Pawpaw. So we ended up surprising him, going down there, and went and got something to eat, just kind of chilling out around Law. And I had already told myself that I'm pretty sure he's going to get married again, and I would be less of a nigga if I didn't, get it a chance. So I had already put on my mind, well, he's been, in jail. He's out. Mom is gone. He has the opportunity to get somebody else. Give it a chance. So okay. So I remember we was on our way to Raising Cane's, one of my favorite restaurants. I got one of the best Raising Cane's, but we was on our way to Raising Cane's, and he needed to go to the store to get something. I think Ian wanted a toy too, so he's gonna buy him a toy. I don't know how we got onto the conversation, but I was no. He said, I said, you I don't think you should stay in Law. So I told him, I don't think you should stay there. Like, it's my mom's side of him. They know you out. I was like, just to protect yourself. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna retaliate or what happened, or anything like that. You should kind of lay low, or I think you should move. And he said, I plan on moving to Louisiana. I was like, okay, cool. He was like, I'm seeing somebody. And I was like, okay. Like, how did y'all meet? Was y'all like pen pals or something like that? Like, tell me about it. And he kind of danced around it. And I was like, okay, maybe, he just excited about telling me that he forgot. And I was like, so what's her name? And no, I asked him, where did he meet her? That's the part he dancing around. I said, what's her name? And he called her name, and he said, I thought once he called her name, I said, okay, all right. I was like, I'll be, I'm looking forward to meeting her, And he said, but they call her Sally. Just to give y'all a little backstory. Sally was a name that I heard often that he cheated on my mom with. Yes. So when I heard Sally, I paused, and I said, you mean the Sally? Like the Sally? And he paused. He said, yeah. And I said, Daddy, that's tight. That's exactly what I said. And I ain't say nothing else. He started saying, oh, she God-fearing woman. She can cook. She love kids, and we talk about you all the time because all she got is boys, and she always wanted a girl, and you gonna be her girl. And I was like, in my head, I'm just there. I'm just there. And I'm just listening to this because I was always taught to be disrespectful to your elders, and especially your parents. So I didn't buck up or anything, but on the inside, I'm just like, what the in my head. So I remember we was in Raising Cane drive-through. I told you I had one of some canes in the drive-through, and he ended up calling her. So in my head, I'm like, he on the phone with the lady who he was cheating on my mom with multiple times in the relationship. And he said, call me on video call. I'm like, oh, blank. That phone rung. Next thing I know, it's a camera in my face. And I'm screaming to the top of my lungs. And I'm pretty high pitched. Yeah! I'm pretty high pitched. On the inside, I'm higher than that, screaming. For about a good 2 minutes straight. I see this woman for the first time, and I look at this lady, and I'm like, so you the heifer. You the one. Because they always say, well, not say they always say, but you knew he was married. Now, he wrong too, but we all know the woman kind of controls that situation. You knew this man was married, and you was with him, knowing it, I still see her picture in my dog's head. She had these bantu knots in her head, and oh, she looked just like you. Which I say I look like my daddy, so I'm splitting the image, just him with hair. She looked just like, oh, this our baby girl, isn't it? I'm just like, oh man. I smiled, and he turned the camera back around, and I got my food, and I remember driving back out to my grandma's house. I don't know how I got there. I know I was just dazed because I thought I was over the situation, but I wasn't. I said I was gonna give it a try with him being with somebody else, but I think if it was anybody but her, I would have been fine. Once we back at the house eating, I opened up and I told him, I said, that was a lot. I said, I'm not ready. And he's, baby, she can do this and all that. I said, I understand, but hear me. I'm not ready. I'm not. And when I got back in the car, I cried so hard. And I remember my son to be in the back, and he was like, Ma, you okay? But I'm losing it, like ugly, wrenching crying, like it was bad. And I was like, I'm just ready to come home. So the next day I ended up driving back up to our house. And I remember It was a Wednesday. It was a Wednesday, and I was just so heavy. I was just so heavy. It was actually my turn to perform at the synagogue. It was one of my songs called My All. And I remember starting the verse. And when I started the verse, I just cried. I couldn't finish. I couldn't do nothing. It was just heavy. And the reason it was heavy because now he never told me about any of this. The whole time we write letters back and forth, back and forth. He neglected all that the whole time. And it's mighty strange now that the woman that you cheated on my mom with, y'all together. My mama's out the picture. That's how I see it. That's how I see it now. So I ended up talking to my Ra'ah after service on that Wednesday. My Ra'ah, my pastor. And I told him, you know, what was going on. And he asked me different questions or whatnot, and I told him how I felt and what I was feeling. He felt the exact same thing because that was new. I won't say evidence, but that was new to the whole situation. Yeah.
So, were you able at all to salvage any part of y'all relationship? Because you said you was daddy's girl. So, that changed all of that, I'm sure.
It did change it. As I stated before, I buried it again. I just buried it. You know, I was just happy to talk to him freely now and not through letters and not through collect calls. I let it go.
Did you let it go or did you suppress it?
That's why I said I let it go. I didn't. I suppressed it again.
So what do you think, because you said you overcame it this year.
Mm-hmm.
What was it that happened that caused you within yourself to be like, you know what, I got this. It's not something that I have to let affect me anywhere. I got this. What was that, as they would say, your aha moment?
My aha moment was when I was talking to my brothers. Me and them had never talked about the situation, and they respected that. They both said, you know, whenever I was ready, they figured I would, you know, talk about it because still to that day, I was talking. They didn't know the full situation. They didn't know the full story. So what happened was my dad actually drives trucks. My brother, he has a trucking company. And he actually was here dropping a load in Atlanta and wanted to come see us, wanted to see Ian. And I was like, okay, you know, you can come here, park the truck, and, you know, stay at the house and whatnot. And I was excited because my first time my dad been at the house. You know, this is actually like my first time, and one of my parents, at least, can see me on my own. You know, staying in my own place and things like that. So he came to the house, spent the night, and I took him back to the truck the next day, and before I took him to the truck, you know, my son wanted him to walk him up to the school. So he did. He was happy, excited, you know, that he was able to do that. It was his grandson. And so he got back in the car. And when he got back in the car, he was like, man, that's my grandson right there. Oh, that's my grandson. Oh, I love that little boy. He said, yeah, me and my wife, we got 9 grandkids total. I said, wife? I said, you got married? He said, yeah. I didn't say nothing else. At that point, everything came back up again. I was like, boy, here we go. I couldn't get him to that truck fast enough. I was waiting on my brother to find him a load. I ain't lying. I said, I want him at my house. I didn't want him at my house. Because I feel like every time something associated with him, that just comes back up. It's something something somewhere just comes back up because of him. And that bothered me that I did not know that. Which he said he's gonna marry her, but I didn't think he's gonna do it. I ain't even gonna do it, you know. I figured he was gonna be shacking up.
So you said, okay. So you said when he initially told you, you let him know like I'm not ready. This is a lot for me because of history or what have you. So fast forward and he marries her, but he doesn't say anything to you. Do you think you would have gave him a positive reception if he would have said, hey, remember the lady you told me you weren't really excited about? Well, I'm gonna marry you. You want to come home and join? Is it just the fact that he didn't share it with you, or?
No, I didn't accept it. I still don't. But it's just the fact that I didn't know. Like, I felt like you could at least say something, because what happened was I texted my brothers, got a group thread. I was like, did y'all know Daddy got married? And they said, you didn't know? And so I texted back. I said, I'm not trying to be funny, but that's why I asked the question. So that prompted them to call me on three-way, which started the conversation that I was telling you about earlier. And so they was like, we thought you knew. Like, we weren't trying to hide nothing, anything like that. We know it was, it happened so fast and everything. It just happened fast. And we figured you weren't going to be there anyways. But he's like, we thought, he knew. And my other brother, he was like, well, I ain't apologizing because I ain't do nothing wrong. It's all on him. So when he said that, the other brother was like, you know what, you're right. Like, why we trying to apologize? Like, this ain't our fault. Like, we thought he grown up to tell them. But he didn't. So in talking about that, we talked about what happened that day. And that was about almost like a 2-hour conversation. We were just talking. And I mentioned that it was a possibility that how do we get onto that? Hold on, y'all, pause for the sec. I think we was talking about. I think one of my brothers ended up saying something in which he kind of told them other instances, because he worked with an oil field company, right? So he was stationed in Bossier City, Louisiana, which is where that lady was from. Then he was also in Kilgore, Texas. Then he was also in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So they knew about a woman named Big Red in Alabama that he was often with, while he was with my mom. He had told him about that. That's what it was. He was telling them about all his stuff, basically, that was going on. And I was like, well, my sister had mentioned before the trial, that he had molested her. And that was my first time ever hearing that. And what did I do? Like, well, I guess that made you the hoe that you are now, is what I told her. I did. That's what I told her. We had a huge argument after that. We did not. We didn't see eye to eye during my whole childhood and teenage years. We kind of got on good terms like my senior year and my first year of college. But and that was like 2006 to 2009, and that's when they happened. 2009, then it fell back off. And once I said that, it just turned to a huge argument. And I remember leaving the house, and she said that like right before the trial. And I remember talking to my dad and asking him, telling him what was said, what she said. And he told him, baby, don't let the devil blind your mind. Don't let him blind your mind for what you got to do and for your purpose and stuff like that. So he said no, and I believed him. And when I told my brothers about it, they, the oldest one, he said, I wouldn't put it past him. Say what? I said, hold on, Ray. What that is? why you say that? And he was like, I just won't put it past him. So hearing about the whole marriage and everything, it prompted me to talk to my pastor again. And I shared with him, whatever I found out. And he told me, he said, it's time for you to have those tough conversations, Val.
So,
Okay.
we started off with your father down there arguing with your mom.
Okay.
You were the only, of all your brothers and sisters, you were the only one that they had together.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to the most because you, like you said, you lost both of your parents. And you said you had your spouse as support. Somewhere between then and now, you met or heard of Yahuwah.
Mm-hmm.
How did that happen?
That happened through my spouse, actually. At the time, we were watching a guy named G. Craig Lewis. And, we had started listening to rap, hip hop, and all that stuff. Came out the Truth About Hip Hop whole series. And the stuff he was saying, we never heard before. And I gravitated to it. I liked it. I remember we was on YouTube one day, and it said G. Craig Lewis exposed by Minister Miller. I was like, G. Craig Lewis exposed? Like, who is this? And I remember seeing this little white guy up here. I'm like, who the boy he think he is? Like, who do he think he is? He just hating. He just hate because he ain't got the status G. Craig got. Whatever. I was like, turn him off. On the side over there, or some old little thumbnails of it showed Pastor Tony Smith and some other stuff, but it was mainly like Pastor Tony Smith. And he clicked on one of them. Cat's out the bag. I heard this man yelling.
Then they get hot. I always went up there. I've been telling Caucasian folk for the longest time. Quit sitting out there swimming with them animals with your stupid self.
I heard this man yelling at the top of his lungs. Repair! I was like, why is he so loud? My spouse is like, that man telling the truth. I was like, cut him off. Like, who is this dude? And he started watching his videos more and more. And I hated it. I hated it because the way he spoke sounded very demeaning toward women. But that was only because I was still fighting and not wanting to change. I played basketball a lot, and I like my pants a lot. And I prayed a lot without my head covered. And I felt like all my prayers was answered. Like, so what's gonna change now? Like, why I gotta cover my head now? I've been doing this, and I've been doing fine, not knowing that whatever I was doing and asking, it was just in His will. I'm just like, no, I ain't down for it. So what happened was he would watch him constantly. Come home from work on lunch break, watching him. Get home, watching him. I was like, I'm so sick of hearing this. I would go downstairs. I just didn't want to hear it until I got pissed one day, and I was like, I'm gonna show him. I'm gonna find something to where he done messed up, where he's slipping. And I got my Bible, and I turned on the video, and I was listening to what he said. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna catch him with something. And when I was reading, it was saying the exact same thing he was saying. I was like, hold on, wait a minute. It said that? Hold on, wait a minute. And what I would do was, I didn't want him to know I was listening to him, so I would clear the history before he got home. Because I just didn't want him to know that I was listening to him. I would do that. I was more of a junkie than he was. He didn't even know it. Like, I was listening and going over different. I started out mainly with the women stuff, because I guess that's what was my big issue, was covering my head and letting the pants go. And eventually, you know, it evolved, and we actually were going to see G. Craig Lewis do his live recording in LA. And instead he said, he's like, I don't want to go see him no more. He's like, I want to go to observe the feast days. I'm like, feast days? At the time, it was the Feast of Booths, Sukkah, whenever we came. And he said, if you can just pay for my ticket, you can go there, but I'm going to go here. And I was like, no, we supposed to be a family. Ah! I was throwing a temper tantrum, you know. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go. So we ended up coming to visit, at the time, the Way of God Church of the Lord Jesus. And I remember we walked in and saw that blue background. I was like, oh man, like, we're here. We're here. And preacher was up there, no strength. Like everything that we seen online on YouTube, like I'm seeing it in action. But I kind of fast forwarded. I eventually broke down and started covering my head, pants. That was a struggle right there. That was a struggle. But I never knew that it said that. Some of the things that he pointed out, I never knew that it said. And I wanted to do the right thing, and I felt like that was it. And what he was doing, G. Craig, you know, I was like, I kind of had a chink in his armor because we weren't celebrating the holidays, and he had like a little podcast then, and I remember him was talking about having a Christmas tree and how he still gets his wife Christmas presents and things like that. I was like, there's no way, like how can you say that? And like you know, no, there's no way. So I said, start listening to him. And, you know, I started listening to Pastor Smith.
So how I heard you mention a couple times that you actually talk to your pastor to help you get through these situations and face them. That's obviously going to help to you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that you would have been able to overcome some of what you mentioned thus far if you would have never found out about Yahuwah, or you think you would still just be running through life pacifying?
I definitely would be pacifying, because just this way in general, it challenges you to do the extraordinary, which is not actually extraordinary. It's what you're supposed to do. And that's just from the book side. But in our lives, I have to push past, which is what they would call extraordinary. I have to keep going, because if I don't, it's going to be a snag, and a snag to the point where I can't move forward. And if I can't move forward, we're constantly moving forward. We constantly have to adjust. We constantly have to make changes. And if I can't, I'll be left behind.
So, for this segment, if you could sum up everything for anybody who may have experienced anything similar so far, what would you tell them?
I would tell them
If
to,
they didn't know you, what would you tell them?
if they didn't know. If they didn't know Yahuwah, what would I tell them? I would tell them to search yourself and find a man after Yahuwah's own heart. Because I don't think if I didn't find this way, I know I'll be locked up in Whitfield. Whitfield is a notable crazy house in Mississippi. It's in Whitfield. Whitfield is the city or whatnot. But that's where they lock up a lot of crazy people. I know I would be in Whitfield because what I've experienced is just beyond traumatic at times. There's no way I could have and am getting through it by the condom, Miss Yahuwah. So I'll say you need to find you a ra'a. You need somebody that you can talk to who's going to be honest. Excuse me. Talk to somebody who's honest, somebody who is wise. That man is so darn wise. And somebody who really cares about your well-being. You need to find you a shepherd. There's the only way that I am surviving, and no surviving R. Kelly series, but the only way I am surviving is because of Miss Yahuwah. Yeah. Appreciate you too, again.
Yes, look forward to your next segment.
Yes.
Yes, because we almost got into it, but
Yeah.
yes, Lady B has overcome quite a bit. She mentioned that she presents as this big ball of energy.
Because I am.
Yes, she is. She's a big ball of energy, 2,000 watts. But when you actually get to know her and hear her story, you wonder where 2,000 watts come from, and it can only in my mind come from you. So yes, y'all can hear. We will see you next day.
Okay.
Yahuchanan, Yahuchanan.
Yahuwah is gracious, so say it with me. Yahuchanan, don't be scared to do your dance and lift up your tongue to the only one who gave his only son by his kind. I'm allowed the mind to not stray, but it's only good for today. And I'm sane in the brain from the things that are sane. Dom, blood on the floor with a stench of gunpowder. Had to wrap my mind around the one who gave birth at the second hour. Has been devoured all because of an argument that turned sour. And I can't hide the stains in my memory. This is something that's going to have to be a part of me. So honestly, I should be locked up in Whitfield, but I'm here in Atlanta. And with the help of Yahuwah, I'm going to continue to hold up the banner. Yeah!
Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to our next segment.
I am as well. Because even though I knew some of the story, I'm learning with you, the viewer. Yes.
Yeah.
Very thankful that you will set on your lawn for you to share this with us. Like I said, the whole goal of Overcoming series is for those that know you, or for those that don't know you, we are all still flesh, stars, people who go through things, and sometimes, no matter how common we can look and see those things are, we don't necessarily see people overcoming. So it's good to be able to see that, to give us a mark. We don't mark ourselves against people, but people can be encouragement. So it's for that encouragement. So definitely appreciate you.
No problem.
Watching
Yeah.
and sharing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
Q'dash Zamar, and this has been My Candid
Wisdom.
Yahuchanan, 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 Yahuchanan. Oh man, there go that buzz. Yes, it's time for me to wake up. Not exalting my alarm. All I do to Yahuwah. Feeling like my body's stuck. My pulse been going up. I got Yahuchanan. NFL coach last year, no luck. Serving in Mizraim sucks. It's all up in my head, so I'm really moving slow. Each and all I ain't tough. Not a different deal, gotta get another door. The avoidance of Sheol. Provider that endless fire. Preservation for my soul. Boy, rock Yahuwah for this mind. Cause I know my word. No, I I don't deserve. Yah led me to his word. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious. No way with my words. No, I don't deserve. Yah led me to his word. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious.
Yahuwah is gracious, so say it with me. Yahuchanan. Don't be scared to do your dance and lift up your tongue to the only one that gave his only son. By his con, I'm allowed the mind to not stray, but it's only good for today. And I'm sane in the brain from the things that are sane. On the floor with the stench of gunpowder, had to wrap my mind around the one who gave birth at the second hour has been devoured, all because of an argument that turned sour. And I can't hide the stains in my memory. This is something that's gonna have to be a part of me. So honestly, I should be locked up in Whitfield, but I'm here in Atlanta, and with the help of Yahuwah, I'm gonna continue to hold up the banner. Yeah.
No way with my word. No, I don't deserve. Yah led me to his word. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious. No way with my word. No, I don't deserve. Yah led me to his word. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious. Devising exit strategies, optimum effort to escape. But it's stay on the job where it's safe. Get the up out my face. Hard bondage is not all play. So get deep behind me, say. Why I told us infiltrate, execute and break away. Even in the land of waste, Dabarina Tautes. In turmoil you bring me joy. From the side you might escape. For we not rising up to play. That's the reason for our stay. The bond destroy these traits. That's why I'm thankful for your grace. I'm so thankful for your grace.
For your grace.
I'm so thankful for your grace. Hope I follow sun or rain. In that verdict to this pain. Yahusha's mission was affliction. Mine gon' be the same thing.
Same thing.
I'm so thankful for your grace.
So thankful for your grace.
I'm so thankful for your grace. Hope I follow sun or rain. In that verdict to this pain. Yahusha's mission was affliction. Mine gon' be the same thing. And I know it with my word. No, I don't deserve. Yah led me to his word. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious. No way with my word. No, I don't deserve. Yah led me to his word. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious. Yah is so gracious.